During a single journey to Mexico, Danny Boulder, a resident of Houston, Texas, came across a stray kitten that was in poor condition. He decided to bring it to the United States against the advice of the locals in the hopes of bringing it back to health. But Danny soon realized he had made a serious mistake when two police officers knocked on his home a few days later. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. When Danny first met the kitten, he was visiting a tiny community in Mexico as part of a solitary holiday. It has filth all over it from clearly quite frail. He was living on the streets. Given that the kitten didn't appear to have a mother around, it appeared to be an orphan. For a time, the kitty continued to follow him. He saw that a little busier roadway demanded greater attention as he moved in that direction. Taking the kitten to a shelter was his initial idea. Danny started to approach the beast, but the neighbors' yells in Spanish stopped him cold. How did they put it? Locals kept shouting at Danny to keep his hands off the little cat as it progressively drew closer and closer to him while he stayed still. The cat was now scrambling onto Danny's boot, and he concluded for himself that these people were probably simply playing tricks on him, since they all enjoyed tricking outsiders who came to their community. Then it occurred to him that perhaps they should keep the kitten for themselves, so the animals could eat it. The locals let out loud shouts as he scooped up the animal with care and speed and began walking back to his car. Danny got behind the wheel without a plan for where he was heading. Danny had become utterly enamored with this small creature during the entire affair. The shouting and all the vague warnings from the villagers had already faded from his memory and were pushed to the back of his mind. When he felt like it was his goal to save and resurrect this magnificent species, the kitten appeared to come back to life after eating and drinking. Driving non-stop for over a day was required to return home to Houston, Texas. He would shortly be crossing the border. Upon clearing the border post, Danny was immediately questioned about the cat. He informed them that there wasn't really much else to say and that he was exploring the globe with his cat. The border guards exchanged a few quiet words, but Danny was given the all-clear to continue driving quickly. Danny was happy to be able to carry on with his quest to get his animal companion to where he thought to be her permanent residence. It seemed like a dream come true for him, because he had always wanted a pet cat. It eventually became apparent, though, that this would not be the case. Danny wasn't a moron either. Upon realizing that a stray cat would potentially harbor many diseases, he made the decision to schedule a visit with the veterinarian upon returning home. Luckily, Danny was able to visit the veterinarian right away the next day. He had to up early since he had the first appointment of the day. He was up early, but because the kitten would not allow itself to be captured, he was still practically late. Danny realized why the cat was escaping him as soon as possible, thought he ought to give her a name in the interim. He made up his mind to refer to her as Missy going forward. After a while, Danny discovered her behind the sink, barely having time to get to their veterinary appointment. He was surprised to observe that in contrast to yesterday, Missy appeared to be much less keen to be lifted up. He would soon find out why. Possibly because to her increased strength and heightened survival instincts, Danny was almost bitten each time he attempted to seize her. He appeared to even hear her snarl. Something Danny had never encountered before. Then it dawned on him what may be useful. Using some gloves as support, they went to the veterinarian after he was able to place her in the former cat's cage. The veterinarian advised Danny that it would be best to sedate the kitten when he arrived. In this way, he could look inside her without risk. The veterinarian wondered how the frail kitten would respond to the injection, as Danny said that he had taken the cat from the streets. Given Missy's apparent weakness and malnourishment, the veterinarian concluded that administering an anesthesia may potentially be fatal. The veterinarian was left with no choice but to open Missy's cage and free her, but as soon as he approached her, she stung him. Now what? Following a discussion After a while, Danny and the veterinarian concluded it was time for Missy to return home. Danny was given the task of helping her get stronger over the next 4 days so that she would be prepared for sedation. Danny felt a little let down by the outcome, even though he had brought the cat home. The veterinarian's plans to do something else made the situation more worse. The veterinarian had withheld certain information from Danny because he feared what might happen if he confronted him. He believed that telling him such things wasn't his place. For this reason, the veterinarian picked up his phone and informed the authorities so they could handle this animal. The veterinarian never meant Toto check Missy. He immediately recognized that something was not right from the time they went through the door. He exploited Missy's frailty as an excuse to get Danny out of the clinic so he could contact the police and let them sort things out. On the drive back, Missy eventually calmed down. Danny was even able to pet her a little bit. It was at that time when Danny assumed everything would turn out well. But would it? Unknown to Danny, everything was going to get a whole lot worse than the situation was. Danny was peering out of his window when he noticed a police cruiser with 2 cops drive up in front of his house. He instantly observed that they didn't arrive to chat in peace. They were truly seeking for something. They ran to his porch and began to pound on his door in haste. Danny became astonished by how forcefully they were hammering on his door. Danny opened the door and started to greet the police officers, but before he could say anything, he was shoved aside as the policemen surged in. Danny was astonished for a second and couldn't comprehend why all this was occurring. While searching, one of the police officers exclaimed that they were hunting for the monster. What did they mean by that? All Danny could think of was that they had come for Missy. But how could they possibly know the cat was in his house, and much worse, why is she referred to be a monster? Missy had already showed her inquisitive face before he could respond to their accusations. One of the cops cried out, "There it is!" The cops pursued her right away. When the cops arrived, Missy was eventually captured. Missy was clearly not in agreement and was acting out in the net she found herself in. Well, at least there's some serenity back in the home now. Danny was curious as to what in the world was happening. The officer informed him that they were only carrying out orders and that they too had no idea why they were at this place. All they knew was that Danny should definitely give the local veterinarian's recommendation a column for some clarification. Hold on, what? Did the veterinary contact the police? Danny called the veterinarian right once as the cops were loading Missy into the car and placing her in the cage. The veterinarian saw right away that Danny had brought with him a juvenile Mexican bobcat that was endangered, something he should never have in the first place instead of a sick kitten. The veterinarian believed Danny had obtained the animal illegally since Danny had failed to disclose to him that he had found it in Mexico. The veterinarian wanted the police engaged primarily for that reason. In addition, the veterinarian thought it would be best to report such unlawful matters to the authorities rather than risk getting into a fight. That days later, Danny was summoned to provide an explanation for how he got hold of the bobcat. The cops took his real account seriously, even if it seemed a little unbelievable. They searched his home and discovered no proof of illicit activity. Therefore, they made the decision not to file any more accusations against him. The bobcat was given to a rescue organization, which planned to return it to Mexico after allowing it to mature for a year or 2. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.